great. Yeah, a little bit slow.
Oh yeah, I see us on there. We're live.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our Monday podcast. I'm Riya Wang. So this podcast is Discover Your Soul. I created this podcast is a few years ago. I was blessed to travel around the world, then to interview people. What does happiness mean to you? By ask
Oh
that.
yeah, I see us on there.
By ask, let me see. Okay, good morning, everyone. Oh, thank you. I was thinking to our Monday. Yes. By ask, I got a little distracted. You see, every time when we're doing that, sometimes have so many lights everywhere, so I forgot to turning off. Then the sounds come out all over the place. But anyway, again, we always have fun. So I want to continue my introduce. So I've created this podcast. The whole meaning is before I want to find out what does happiness mean to me. I was travel around the world to interview people from different race, different countries. I ask the same question: what does happiness mean to you? I think by ask this question a lot of time, it's help you to slow down, really reflecting your life of your living. So are you doing the things make you happy, or you doing the things because you just used to do it? It's all about raising the awareness, bring more joy, the passion to your life. So I'm so honored and so excited today. My guest, Jodi. Jodi is, tell us, Jodi, where are you from?
I am from Kansas.
Kansas.
Yes.
Oh, what time is there?
It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, I think it's 2 hours different from, I'm in California, right? Yes, Jodi is the master of the Reiki. You can see his whole energy come out with this peace and calm. I met Jodi, I think is in the Woman in Rocky Business events. When we were both in there, I'm just attracted from your energy. So that's what I was excited to invite you. Come to here, share with us. Do you have anything you want to introduce a little bit more about yourself with all people here?
Well, thank you for having me. And it pretty much covers it. I am a professional intuitive angelic Reiki master teacher and CEO of loveyoubtrue.com. So yeah, it's an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Jodi, as I said, I always ask the people same question when I was interviewing the people. And also I want you bring some wisdom of you living, how to living the life with all the joy. I saw you post on the Facebook with all joy, especially when I saw your photo, sometimes I see you smiling just huge. That make me want to smile.
Aww.
So share with us, what does happiness meaning to you? And also the same question, kind of similar. So do you think what's different between happiness and joy?
Good questions. To me, happiness means peace and presence. Yeah. So when you're just present to life, to where you're at, to the moment without trying to change it, fix it, hide it, fade it, that's to me happiness. So it's really just peace. It's having this inner sense of peace. That's a less superficial way of being happy, if that makes sense. And how is that different from joy, or is it? I feel like it's probably one and the same, personally, for me.
So we all know happiness comes from the peace, especially come from our inner peace, right? But can you give little tips for when people here? So we know the words, like we said, you should love yourself, then you know how to love others. You should have the inner peace with you that can bring the more happiness in your life. But if I'm stressed, or if I'm in the moment, or if my life have so many going on, like example, maybe I lost my job, maybe I, don't have enough money to buy my bills. So how that in the reality, I can transform from that moment to the more peace then?
Yes, that makes total sense, because there are times where I have even had that, kind of wondering of, okay, if being in the present moment is supposed to bring you peace, then what about if in the present moment I feel like crap, right?
Yeah,
What
I
if
think all of us have that experience. We have this up down emotions. Things happen unexpected.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a ton of different answers that could go with that. I think one simple takeaway, or maybe two, that I would want to bring to the table for your listeners today is the first thing that I realized along my journey is when I just stopped trying to resist what is. When I was able to come to that place of accepting what is, that's when things were able to shift for me. So that's one part of it. I found any time that I didn't have acceptance of whatever it was that was happening in my life, or as a survivor, things that had happened in my life prior, coming to terms with that and just accepting that this is what it is. And what I found for myself is when I stopped wanting to change what is and was able to just say, okay, this is what it is, and come to a place of acceptance for that caused huge shifts to happen inside of me, right? Another thing is to look at how is life happening for you, not against you. So it's like letting go of that resistance and just kind of surrendering into what is, seeing how this could be happening for me, not against me, and what wisdom can I derive from the situation. And there was a third one. Tell me again what the question was.
So the tips when we are in this, some unexpected things happening. So like last my job suddenly get fired from the company, or I have the bills, I have tons of bills, I couldn't keep up to pay my bills, so was super stressed. How I can bring more peace in the situation.
Yes, got it. Okay, so the third one was getting in touch with the thoughts that are around that thing, and what stories are you telling yourself of that thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, easier said than done. I always tell my students these are easy concepts that can take a lifetime to master, right? It's simple to say it in theory, but to actually put it into practice could take a lifetime to master it. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I hear about you. So I hear that. So I think your meaning is just accept what was happening and not focus on what happening. Maybe to think about what is next step to move forward.
I think it's both. It really is a balance of both, and that's kind of what I teach to my students. You have, there's the acceptance piece, but there's also not just trying to hijack out of it, move past it, but being present with it, right? Mm-hmm. Honoring yourself in the process, how you feel about it, and then taking your next steps and moving through it. I wouldn't even say past it, I would say through it, because the way out of it is through it. If you're trying to step past it, if you're trying to hijack out of it, you're going to, in my experience, it just prolongs your suffering. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think when something happening, sometimes we talk about the fight fly. So if you try to fight it that moment, why this happened to me, how this happened, that's probably get more into that panic mood. So I have experienced when I was in India, when I was travel in the India that time, because in India I have a lot of small village. I was travel there, so I have to carry some cash because it's difficult to use some credit card in there. So when I was carrying, then when I was in the group where I was doing some healings, some healing meditation in the group, I always think this group is all people is spiritual, all loving, will be nice. So when I went to lunch, I just leave my bag in that room. But when I come back, then someone will say, is anybody find out the last something? Then I open my bag, all my money is gone.
Oh no.
Then I was have panic that moment. I said, whoa, I'm in India, in nowhere, in this small village, so I don't have the cash. What do I do? So I only have that phone. So then I was thinking, oh my gosh, I first thought come out is I think most people, when we have that situation, probably the same like me. If you hear that, you can say yes or no. So the first thoughts come out is blame myself. Why don't you careful? Why you leave things there? So that things, when things happen, I think that's the first thought. Then wait a moment, just a few minutes, I cut off myself. I said, this is not I can control. This maybe happen anytime. So the things is happening. So what I do, I'm keep sit there to panic, say, why don't you care to blame myself? All that didn't help. What I can do? So that night I go back. That night was full moon night. I go back, sit in my the hotel, and look the outside. The sky was full moon. I started meditating. I was say, okay, so I will be accepted things happen. Then also first things I want to send a forgiveness. Forgive the people who stolen my money. Maybe he got this money, he have something to use for something good. Then forgive myself, not to blame myself and not carefully and things like that. It's just then changing my plan because my plan was going to next place, take a long journey, maybe spend more money. So maybe changing my plan, I stay local, spend more time in that place, then go around. Then I started calling my friends, calling my daughter, and also I calling my brothers. That is amazing happening, I tell you, honey. It's since when I called my daughter first said, before I call my daughter, I was think, what she will be said? She will say, why don't you care for mom? Or she will be said something, help me. When I called my daughter, she first time said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, mom. Do you need money? Let me see how I can send you money so you can help you to get out of the situation. I was super grateful. Then my brother, I called my brother. It's so interesting. For years, I always taking care of my brother, never asked my brother money, and he never offered me either. But at that time I called him, he just said, oh gosh, do you need money? I can send some money to you. Then I post on the Facebook. My friends, all people, they started sending money to me. I got the money is more than I was lost.
What a beautiful story. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's the things I want to share with everyone. Sometimes things happen. How do we switch from that situation? If I continue blame myself, continue get mad, so I couldn't think clear what is next step to take.
Yes, and the only thing that changed in that entire process were your thoughts, right?
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you. Especially, I think you are the Reiki master. You're always teaching the people how to move the energy with thoughts. Is also is part of energy. Is that?
Well, I teach angelic Reiki, so it's a little bit different. Yeah, so we don't do it like that. But I do teach intuition development online, and mindfulness is a part of that. So we go deep into the thresholds of mindfulness and acceptance. And another thing that I heard in your story was self-compassion. You know, being able to step out of that self-blame and have some compassion for yourself. So yeah.
That's beautiful. So if anyone wanted to learn more about Jodi's work, so later on, Jodi will be post you more information how to find you. Also, I have some information will be attached with Jodi's Facebook website. So that you can find more about what is Jodi doing, the amazing work. And now, Jodi, come to my second questions. Go, you know, like I said, a lot of time we have so many unplanned things happen. Something happens. So go through a lot of challenging. I know you must be through a lot of challenging in your life, right? Define how do you go through all of your experience with your challenging. How do you define yourself today? Who you are today?
How do I define who I am as a result of the challenges that I've been through? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. How do you overcome from your challenge?
Oh,
you know, so we want to share your stories. So we all have some stories. Then that story can inspire other people. Then they can get some tips from them.
Okay, so you want to hear my story? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Whatever you think you want to share.
Okay. I'll just make sure I understand the question. Yeah. I would say probably one of the hardest things that I have overcome in my life was a point where I got really sick, to the point that I thought that I thought that I was going to die. I had a mass on my liver, growth on my thyroid, 2 growths in my chest that they monitored every 3 months for cancer. I was having seizure activity in the brain. I would get lost in the town I grew up in. I couldn't track a conversation to save my life.
Wow. And I'm sorry. That was right.
It was a lot. I didn't think I was going to make it out of that. And I had a list of over 20 medical professionals in my phone, and not one of them could fix me. But I'm not sorry, because it completely changed my life. So at the time I was, a computer programmer. And I was absolutely miserable in the job that I was in. And I knew that I was meant for something different and something more, but I didn't know what that was. And so through a series of prayers, I was guided to go to India. And I was told in that prayer session that if I went to India, I would heal completely. So I, at that time, had already lost my job. I didn't have any money, and I'm just like, how am I supposed to get to India? I have no money. Like, this is ludicrous. Long story short, a dear friend gifted me an airline ticket to India. I went there, I studied in ashrams, and I traveled through India for a year. And I think that allotted me time to just, I don't want to say find myself, because I don't believe that we find ourselves. I believe maybe we uncover what we truly are. So it kind of placed me in an environment where I had the space to just be present with myself. And through some of those trainings, that's also when I became an angelic Reiki master teacher, and trained as a meditation facilitator at an ashram there. So it really was presence. It's everything that we've been talking about. It was coming home to myself. It was being present to myself. It was getting in touch with myself and figuring out what is it that I want out of life. It was coming to a place of not feeling like I had to be everything that everybody else wanted me to be, and that I could just be me the way that God made me, as an empathic, intuitive person, without having to try to hide that or be something that I'm not. And that, I would say, was the final piece of sort of setting me free through that whole entire journey, I had to learn how to take care of the different, what I call the different layers of our being. I had to learn how to take care of my physical vessel. And then I had to learn how to take care of my mental, emotional vessel. And I had to learn how to take care of that spiritual part of me. So it was really a mind body spirit kind of growth and evolution, learning new ways of being. And so when I came back from that trip, I went to the doctor and I had testing redone. And my family physician, the testing showed that there was no mass on my liver, there was no growth on my thyroid, and the growths in my chest had condensed down to just dense material. So they were no longer needing to be monitored for cancer. And my family physician said, there is no scientific explanation for this. The only true healing is spiritual healing. And in that moment, I dedicated my life to spiritual healing and helping others to do the same. And so from that, I think, I don't know, maybe there's so many takeaways from that. One, I would say would be faith, to just have faith, to not, to claim sovereignty over your being, to be present with yourself and your needs and what you need as an individual, despite what everybody else wants you to be, right? To also, an important part of that, I feel like, was to not just take in somebody else's truth without just blindly. When the doctors told me back then that I would be sick for the rest of my life. And I remember the day that I looked in my neurologist's eyes and said, no, I won't, watch me. And I just refused to that reality. I wasn't going to take that into my mind-body system. And I chose a different life. And I chose to go out and do research for myself. And a part of that was also taking personal responsibility for myself. Because when you think about it, I am not one of those kinds of people that is like, don't go to the doctor. I believe that there is complementary medicine and there is traditional medicine, and they both have their place in the world. But when you think about it, a doctor is practicing medicine. He's in practice. And there is not one person on this earth who can know you as intimately as you can know yourself. And when you know yourself and you get in touch with yourself and you're present with yourself, your answers will come. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people to do that, to be present with themselves, because that is the thing that that brought me out of that. It took me about 3 years in total to come out of that and get my health back to, being able to be functional in the world. So presence is that thing. And if anybody is listening and they want to know, like, okay, well, how can I apply that to my life? And what does that mean to be present to myself? It could just be as simple as stopping and taking a breath. Bring yourself to a space of breath awareness. Just simply stop. Bring all of your awareness to your breath. And then just see what happens after that. If you feel different in your body, if for some people emotions will start to arise, feelings will start to come, you might start to get in touch with things that you haven't been in touch with for years that have been begging for your attention. And when you're able to do that and have that presence with yourself, your whole life changes. At least mine did.
Wow, what a profound stories. Thank you for sharing, Jodi. That's amazing. Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they go through the cancer or doctors diagnose something, they feel so much fear. So also I have this experience with my mom, because my mom 2 years ago, the doctor said she only have a few months left with the cancer. But that was 2 years ago. I told my brother, let's give mom more love. We do some emotional cleaning. And I think emotional cleaning is really important when we hold a lot of anger, grief, frustration in your body. There no way can go that will become disease, Yes. So breathing, be aware what your body needed. Yes. That is really a beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that story. It's so beautiful, just amazing. I have a client, I have a friend. I think last week I was talking to her. she was also go through with the cancer things, but she said she was before was a big lump on the now is getting results. I think we always have hope. It's not when you get the cancer, it's the end of the world. Just look at you, how beautiful you are now. Yeah. How amazing, inspired other people. Yeah. That's beautiful. So the last question, thank you, Jodi, for sharing all your stories. I would like you give 3 words as the gift to the people who's listening here or people who's listening later. So that 3 words can give people more help or can change, bring more joy. We talk about joy and happiness. So not focus for the short term, maybe focus for what is deeply inside, what your soul wanted. Like we said, body, mind, soul, healings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I had to choose 3 words in the moment right now, I would say presence, acceptance, and I have to say love. I want to say trust and love, but I have only 3. So love has to be it because love truly is the answer to everything. Yeah.
Wow. I got a chill with the goosebump. Just listening that. Wow. Can you say again that 3 words?
Presence, acceptance, and love.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So before we close this podcast, would you like lead us like a 5 minutes meditation? The things, what do you do, all of that? Then we can close with this podcast, please.
Sure.
Then yeah. Thank you so much for everyone here. And join us with this 5 minutes meditation. Do you have a name or intention for this meditation, Jodi?
Presence.
Okay.
Can be an ongoing theme here.
Let's be the present with this moment, with our body, heart, mind, soul.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just have you go ahead and close your eyes. Take a slow and controlled inhale through the nose. As you breathe in the essence of divine presence. And I want you to hold on to that feeling, to that essence of divine presence, allowing it to permeate every cell of your being. And as you exhale, let's go ahead and let go of anything that doesn't belong here with us in this space at this time. And on your next inhale, go ahead and breathe in the essence of acceptance. And hold it. And exhale, slow and controlled. And on your next inhale, let's go ahead and breathe in the essence of divine, conscious love. And then just stay in this place of breath awareness with your focus on your breath. And just notice how you feel in your body. What does your body have to say to you today? Are there any sensations that you have? Maybe your chest is tight. Maybe your shoulders are burning. Just ask for the wisdom of this sensation in your body. If these sensations were happening for you, what would they be here to give you? And we'll just take this next moment to ask the sacred for a gift. Any gift, knowing that you are worthy and deserving of this gift. Maybe it's the gift of wisdom. Maybe it's the gift of a new sensation. Maybe it's the gift of becoming aware of your thoughts so that you can bring yourself to a place of acceptance. And maybe it's the gift of acceptance. What gift would you like to ask from the sacred today? Knowing that there is nothing too big or too small that you can ask for from the sacred. And we'll just take a moment to make a commitment to pay attention, be present over this next while. Be aware of how this gift might be coming into our lives, presenting itself to us. And take a moment to thank yourself for showing up here today on this call, to thank the sacred for showing up for you, and to thank your inner wisdom for the gifts and the knowing that you've received today, the insights. We'll also take a moment to thank our beautiful host, Riya, for all of the hard work that she puts into this podcast to bring gifts to you on a regular basis. And when you are ready, you can go ahead and feel yourself seated firmly in your chair, wiggle your fingers and toes, bring in any movement that feels authentic to you. Maybe put your arms out to the side, raise them above your head, and pull them right down to the center of your chest. In prayer pose, or in yoga, we say Anjali Mudra. And go ahead and open your eyes.
Thank you. Wow, that's a beautiful gift you gave everybody here. Thank you, Jodi. That was really, really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Riya, and thank you for having this podcast and creating an agent for change in the world, positive change.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, to watch our today's podcast later on. So if you always can follow the Jodi's this few minutes meditation, help bring so much peace and gratefulness. So gratitude to everybody, to Jodi, to everyone who's here, to yourself. Thank you. I will be see you next. Our show is Discover Your Soul with Riya. If you have your stories, you